Of the American Le Mans Series, round 2, Charlotte, Carolina. The best of the sports car racing world come heart of NASCAR country. On the grid after the huge crowd at Sebring, a much thinner looking field, but a lot of the cars back in Europe already preparing for Le Mans test weekend. Jean-Marc Gounon driving here for BMW as he did at Sebring. JJ Leto stays with the team as well, and the Finn with co-driver Jörg Müller looking for more success in America. And ranged against them, the machines most likely to cause them problems. America cause them problems. America's Ferraris, that's why they're bright red. Johnny O'Connell and David Brabham will start. Alan McNish starting in the Audi. Let's have a look around this course then with Mimo Schiattarella coming off the banking at turn 1 into this infield section, down into second gear here, braking, and then braking hard again into this double right-hander. Again with these infield tracks, the problems with loose rubber, dirt and dust all over the surface as the race progresses going to be quite noticeable. Pulling a couple of G's in the corners here in the Olive Garden Raffinelli entered Lola with its V10 Raffinelli Judd engine. Then onto the banking, almost where they came off it in turn 1, through turn 2, down the long back stretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And as they get into NASCAR turn 3, down into a second gear chicane, flying through there and then back on the power. Big ramp as they come back onto the 24-degree banking through NASCAR turn 3 and NASCAR turn 4, flying past the slower cars onto the tri-oval and rushing towards the starting tower there, then back down under braking. Well, these are the cars that everybody will have to beat, the BMW V12 LMRs. JJ Leto and Jörg Müller on pole from Jan Magnussen and David Brabham in the faster of the Paynos pairings. Second row of the grid, Mimo Schiattarella and Didier de Radiguez, sensations in qualifying for Raffinelli, ahead of Emanuele Pirro and Frank Biela in the faster of the Audis. The Audis this year are last year's car, at least for the Charlotte race. The brand new cars that won in Sebring are in Europe, preparing for the Le Mans qualifying weekend. Johnny O'Connell, joined by Hiroki Kato in the second of the Paynos machines. Norman Siemer, Gunther Bleininger and Mark Simo in one of last year's Raffinelli cars. Ahead of the GTS pole sitter, Monegasque Olivier Beretta with Austrian Karl Wendlinger, and the second of the Vipers, the American crew, Tommy Archer and David Donoghue right behind them. GT pole sitter, another of the GT3Rs, Lucas Luhr and Dirk Muller in the number 5 machine run by Dick Barber Racing. And here is how they line up behind them. GT cars strong in number here. Just 4 cars in GTS. Zach Brown and Vic Rice's machine. And the 40 car of McGill Racing, Bert Godin and Sam Shalala, the only opposition to the dominant Vipers. But brand new BMW, debuted by the PTG crew you saw there. He is at the wheel, Hans Stuck, and he'll be taking on the best that the Porsche crews have to offer in this now increasingly well-sorted 911 GT3R. Alan McNish starts 5th for Audi, and they're going to be very hot indeed in those cars. The radiators at the front pouring hot air over the driver, really scalding their heads. And as they get to the green, Jan Magnussen gets dropped by the BMW. Magnussen trying to get a fast start, but into the first turn goes JJ Leto. Magnussen with the Raffinelli car, the red, white and green machine, being jumped by the 2 Audis. In fact, both of them in consecutive corners go by. So the Audis now up to 3rd and 4th, and Mimo Schiattarella down to 5th place. On board with the Audi. Great on-board pictures in Charlotte, perfect weather for Saturday's race. And as they edge their way around the opening lap, the second Paynos and the second BMW in close contact. So only one of the P cars, the pole team machine, the 02 Riley and Scott Judd that Gabriele Raffinelli's team ran last year, is dropping away from the lead group. And through the first chicane, JJ Leto leading. Leto already starting to try and open up a gap. Jan Magnussen will try and hold on to him, but JJ with the hammer firmly down. They're touching just under 200 miles an hour at the end of the straight there. The NASCAR crews think that they are mad doing those kind of speeds into a braking area. Even the Winston Cup cars barely touch that speed around Charlotte, and they go flat out, wide open through the turns. So Leto from Magnussen, then Emanuele Pirro and Alain McNish in the two Audis. Then this battle, Mimo Schiattarella, Jean-Marc Gounod and Johnny O'Connell. The second string BMW, the second string Paynos and the Raffinelli car. The two Audis getting a great start, the V8 twin-turbo engines wanging the machines past the Raffinelli car right from the word go. Johnny O'Connell right down to the stripe in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And here the leaders again through that second gear chicane, down there to about 65 miles an hour. And as they get around the banking here, changing up into top gear, they're already doing 165, 170 miles an hour. Jan Magnussen chasing JJ Leto then, the leader through the first turn. They drop off the banking just as it starts to rise at the end of the pit lane to go onto the infield section, and they come back about 20 yards further round the main Charlotte Oval. There again, still in turn 1 there, you see, all the way round 1 and 2. What about GTS? Class being led by, well, what else? The number 91 Viper and the 92 Viper in line astern. Carl Wendlinger doing the starting duties for the Oreca crew. 9th overall, first in GTS. Eight prototype cars, and all of them at the moment ahead of the GTS class leader. Well, JJ Leto starting to edge away now. And clearly Jan Magnussen does not have the pace to go with him at the moment. Incidentally, the reason the cars don't run all the way round the banking is because they're not built to turn left for that far and that long at that speed. In the pits, it's the 92 Viper. Tommy Archer brought the car in after just 5 laps of the race, and that is the reason. A new gearbox waiting to go in. Leto continues to pile on the power. Magnussen holding on to second place behind him, and the Audis in line astern formation. Alain McNish harassing the back of Emanuele Pirro, looking to find a way past. Riding now inside the roll hoop behind Jan Magnussen's helmet. See it bounce around there as he gets buffeted by the bumps on the banking and through the slipstreaming, pulling 2.2, 2.5 G in the middle of the corner. And these are, don't forget, heavy, unwieldy sports cars, according to single-seater drivers. See how even though the speed comes up on the banking, the G-force is diminished because of that banking. Not so hard work on the drivers as it is when they're doing that speed on the flat. Again, though, not able to quite match the pace of the BMW, but a great chance to listen to the sounds of that V8 engine Paynos. 77 car, Alain McNish in the Audi. McNish passed Emanuele Pirro, his teammate. Pirro didn't want to be passed, but McNish got by him some 9 or 10 laps into the race. Here we are, this is how it was. We're riding with McNish. Pirro held up in traffic. Still not quite enough room for the Scotsman. Ride with him and let's see where he makes the move. JJ Leto now in traffic. Jan Magnussen catching up towards him and piling on the pressure. Jan Magnussen coming out of NASCAR turn 4. And NASCAR turn 2 into the chicane, has the inside line. JJ Leto concedes the lead of the race. 25 minutes of hard work by Jan Magnussen when they caught traffic, working his way back onto the tail of JJ Leto and then putting to bed the move to take the lead. I mentioned that the chicane and this infield section being used because the tyre technicians particularly and the suspension technicians really feeling that turning sharp left at 160, 170, maybe even 180 miles an hour for hours would not be beneficial to the suspension, and they didn't think that the tyres would last. And that is why we have the chicane. Riding again with Jan Magnussen in replay now, underneath JJ Leto, out of NASCAR turn 2, onto the backstretch. Did you see the way there? He's starting to move up. He's in the third of the 4 lanes and really, really monstering down the inside of JJ Leto, using all the length of the Paynos to get inside him, and around goes Hans Stuck. Stuck has spun there. The brand new PTG BMW, this is the new E46 Shape M3. Oh, and it's contact as he tried to get round the outside of the 89 car. That's the MCR racing machine of Ian James and Yao Barbosa. And on board again, you see it going round. Stuckey already looking for where he's going to end up. Into gear he goes and away he goes. Lateral G's being shown there, about 1.5 on the banking for the Randy Popp's car. That's the 23 machine of Alex Job Racing. And this year that car being driven by Bruno Lambert from Belgium and Randy Popst. And behind them, the number 5 car, Dick Barber Racing's entry, Dirk Muller and Lucas Luhr. And that is a GT class battle. The Paynos right in the middle of them. Magnussen weaves his way through. And the camera again showing just how close that battle is, and here comes the BMW behind. The 2 Porsches in their own very tight class battle. And that was for the lead of the class. Now with the overall race leader. Top left you can see the Fox box showing the positions. The Audi still 3rd and 4th, ahead of the Raffinelli car, then the 2nd BMW, and the 2nd of Dom Paynos' red machines. Dom Paynos asked at Sebring why had the black and yellow flamboyant colour scheme of last year's Paynos cars turned red. He said, well, America doesn't have a Ferrari. Now it does, which is a fairly straightforward answer. Out front then, Jan Magnussen. And he is leading by a couple of seconds and more from JJ Leto, easing out his gap. Randy Popst leading from Lucas Luhr in the GT class. Carl Wendlinger comfortably leading the GTS category in the Viper that did not strike trouble. Problems though for the number 2 car, Johnny O'Connell, the 2nd of the Paynos machines, radioing in with severe understeer. Now, is this a portent of heavy tyre wear? The Michelin technicians, as late as Friday night, were saying they would not allow any car to double stint any tyres. After Saturday morning's warm-up, they said, OK, you can double stint your right tyres only. So the Michelin technicians taking no chances on tyres. GT class battle continues. We ride with Lucas Luhr, the German driver who shares with Dirk Muller. And past goes a BMW, flying by Jean-Marc Gounon, that was, and he missed out the chicane. Trying to get past the 2 Porsches, did not get his braking done in time. By the chicane he goes on the high side. No penalty there as he doesn't pick up a place in the race. That's the only time you get a penalty for missing that tyre chicane. So Jan Magnussen leads then, and some 40 minutes of racing, the Paynos crew watching with interest. Magnussen leading from Leto's BMW, McNish in the Audi in 3rd place. More from Charlotte in a moment. Liner for the 2nd round of the American Le Mans Series, and 40 minutes into the race, yellow flags at the chicane. You can see the damage has been done there. The tyre's been sprung all over the race by Randy Pobst in the 23 car. On board with Jan Magnussen, arriving at the chicane. Well, somebody just shortcutting it ahead of him. He decides to go through it, though. And the yellow flag's allowing an opportunity for cars to come into the pits. Well, possibly. It's only a local yellow there, and so they won't get any benefit from a full course yellow. Yellow flag just out at that chicane. But you can see Jan Magnussen now passing one of the rescue cars and coming up behind his teammate Johnny O'Connell in the number 2 car. Race leader catching the second of the Pénos, and that's because Connell with a huge understeer problem on his way into the pits. And here he is, taking a full tank of fuel and those all-important new tyres. Of course, with Le Mans regulations, only 4 men allowed across the wall, and the car must be fueled, switched off, and before anything else happens. So into the pit stop window we come. You just saw Jan Magnussen having fuel and tyres. JJ Leto handing over the BMW to Jörg Müller. Just a little tap on the helmet to make sure that Jörg is fully okay. Fuel hoses come off, and now the crew go to work changing those tyres. And they're changing both sides on the BMWs. So the BMW crew working hard here. Their pit strategy has been a little suspect in '99. They lost a couple of races through poor pit calling and poor management of the actual stops themselves. Mimo Schiattarella pulls over. You can see walking around the front there was Didier de Radiguez, but he will be sent back to the bench. Dindo Capello leaves in the 77 car. He's taken that over from Alan McNish. Out goes Jan Magnussen. Out comes the BMW. That's Jörg Müller and Jean-Marc Gounon at the helm of the second BMW. Then Dindo Capello. And now it is a full course yellow as the rescue crews rebuild those palleted tyre stacks on their chicanes. And again, look at the top left corner. You can see the class orders. Randy Pobst, despite smiting those tyres, still leading in the GT class, but that may be about to come to an end as the car needs a bit of work on it. With Jan Magnussen then, on board with the race leader. After those pit stops, little changed in the overall order. Magnussen from Müller in the BMW, Gounon in the BMW up to 3rd, Capello 4th for Audi, Biela 5th for Audi, Schiattarella in 6th position in the Raffinelli Lola, and then Johnny O'Connell in 7th place. And here is the 23 car, the Alex Joe racing machine, having prolonged surgery to the front end. It split the smallest of the radiators. There are 3 large radiators at the front of the car, one in either front wheel arch behind the bodywork and one across the nose, and that was the one that was damaged. They've eventually had to bypass it with a bit of radiator hose. And at the restart, collision between the Audi and the BMW. Jean-Marc Gounon and Frank Biela both off the racecourse. Biela rejoins, but has he got an engine? Yes, he does now. Gounon, though, on the grass in the middle of the D section, the tri-oval at Charlotte, trying to find some traction. And look at the front of the BMW. Well, Gounon had a crash at Sebring in his first race with the Works BMW team and involved in collision at the restart. Let's have a look again. Gounon forced to take to the grass as Biela pushed down on him to try and hold the place. Gounon trying desperately to keep the car under control, but it snapped away and made contact with the Audi. Well, you couldn't really call that as Jean-Marc Gounon's fault. If you're going to point the finger at anybody, you'd say that Frank Biela was just pushing him down onto the grass and leaving him nowhere to go. And obviously at a restart, nobody is really wanting to back off the throttle. Look how close the Audis and the Pénos are coming to the tyre stacks there in that chicane. The 92 Viper back on track here. Tyres and fuel and a new driver, Tommy Archer. They've been behind the wall, or actually standing in the pit lane having their gearbox changed. And the battle for honours going on there as well. The 89 car doing the chasing, Ian James and Yao Barbosa. And there is the 92 machine with Tommy Archer, 23rd in the standings. And battling for 5th position, Jean-Marc Gounon passing Frank Bieler's Audi. This time doing it quite cleanly. And despite the way the bodywork was flapping at the front of the BMW, he's lost a headlight, but it doesn't seem to be causing him too many other problems. Got by Frank Bieler. And could it be maybe that Bieler, although that is not him, that's Emanuele Pirro in the picture, could it be that Frank Bieler has got more severe problems as a result of that tangle? He looks to have got away with it more than the BMW driver. Riding now with the Zero car. This is the Raffinelli machine, driven still by Mimo Schiattarella, by the way. Schiattarella waving away Didier de Radiguez at the change. And who's that? That's the Dick Barber car, number 5. Frontal damage, looked to be steaming a little bit. Dirk Muller and Lucas Lohr. Well, he is picking it back off the grass as the lead BMW goes past him, the better of the two BMWs. And he loses control, going in through the infield, clouts the barrier. And that steam pouring out of the front of the car. Meanwhile, into the pits is the 91 machine. This is Carl Wendlinger's Viper, don't forget. They've done their fuel, and now a tyre change and a driver change. Monaco-born Olivier Beretta at the helm. There he is, the yellow and red colours of his helmet, and away he goes, checking brake and tyre temperatures while the car is stationary. On board with Ronaldo Capello in the Audi. He's in 4th place. The number 1 Paynos leads from the 42 BMW, the 0 Raffinelli car, then the 77 Audi, and the 43 BMW is now behind him. And here comes Jean-Marc Gounon. Gounon in the Cyclops BMW, blasts underneath. Goodness me, he didn't even bother with the banking, and now he pops up ahead of the Audi. What a superb move, and that BMW grip there. Everybody else running up onto the banking as a matter of course. He held it down there on the apron. He is so deep under braking. You saw Dindo Capello slow, and Jean-Marc Gounon effectively hurtle on ahead as Capello got onto the brakes. Gounon is driving like a man possessed. Well, Gounon so desperate to make good of this BMW factory drive opportunity he's got in the American Le Mans Series. And after the crash at Sebring, very, very determined to put in a good race here. That collision at the restart, I'm sure when they watch it on the tape, the BMW crew will say, well, that was 50-50 at best. Couldn't possibly really criticise his driving since then. He is going absolutely hell for leather. And in the 42 car, also pushing on in 2nd place. That is the Bill Orbanen, I beg your pardon, the JJ Leto and Jörg Muller car. Muller reeling in the number 1 machine that leads the race. Well, here comes the number 1 car. Jan Magnussen still at the wheel. And Jörg Muller in the BMW, piling on the pressure. Around the outside of Hans Stuck in the 6th car, we ride with Stucky. In fact, it's now Johannes van Overbeek. You can see the orange of the Dutch national colours on his helmet. And no matter how fast he thinks he's going, when the P cars come round, it looks as though he's suddenly selected reverse. On board again. See how much filth is being thrown up by the traffic on the camera lens over Jan Magnussen's head there in the roll hoop. And that is affecting the drivers as well. This late afternoon sunshine getting right down low and really getting in their eyes. Looks like damage there to the 40 car. That is the GTS car. Don McGill Racing of Bert Godin and Sam Shalala. And Ronaldo Capelli putting the Audi into the wall. Just under an hour and a half into the race, and look at that, the front end almost all missing. Those front-mounted radiators steaming away. And that is the end of his race. Dindo Capello has put the car out of action. Oh, goodness me, lost it trying to come around underneath that Porsche. And, well, those are the problems of pressing hard in traffic. Zero car now. Jean-Marc Gounon right behind him. This now is for Gounon to get himself onto the podium. Still an hour of the race left. Hour and a quarter nearly. And Jean-Marc Gounon battling for third place with the zero car as Jan Magnussen continues to lead. Local yellow flags. In fact, a full course yellow is now being thrown by the organisers as it becomes obvious that Dindo Capello's car will not move under its own steam. And they're racing to the line. Again, Gounon holding the BMW right down there until he's made the move, then popping up in front of the zero car to make sure that there is no challenge. As they come past the flag marshal's stand, Gounon is safely ahead. Schiattarella working hard, and Dindo Capello walking back rather disconsolately to the paddock. Schiattarella again in the Lola with its Raffinelli Judd engine, the BMW of Jean-Marc Gounon ahead, and just look at the way the BMW pulls away down the straight there. BMW with more developments of the car coming for the next couple of races at Silverstone and then after the Le Mans 24-hour race at the Nürburgring. Jörg Müller in the pits then. This is the car that came in from second place in the race. They've already done the driver change and JJ Leto will not do a further stint. Fuel is finished and the tyre crews go into operation. So a full tank of fuel and the tyres. New nose for Bill Auberland's car. He's now in it and taken over from Jean-Marc Gounon. And it's all taking precious seconds. Clicking the new nose into place, the electrical connectors and everything. And in comes the race leader. Magnussen in the pits, and now David Brabham will get a chance in the car that has led the bulk of this race. Went into the lead after some 25 minutes, taking it from JJ Leto's BMW that started from the front of the grid and led the early going. And Magnussen has been out front ever since. There was a little welter of yellow flags that has upset the fueling schedule, but this most recent yellow should mean that the cars have a chance of going the whole way. The BMWs all in. Didier de Radiguez, you saw earlier on, scrambling into the zero car, the Lola. And out goes David Brabham. But it's BMW's 1-2 as the Paynos rejoins. Uncharacteristically tardy stop for the Paynos crew. And dreadful problems for the number 5 machine, down in 23rd place. That's the car that went off earlier, damaged the radiators there. Tony Dow, incidentally, who used to run Tom Walkinshaw's Jaguars at Le Mans and in the American Racing Series. Last year he was the official who was in charge of everything, rules, regulations, the whole lot. Now running that Alex Job race, beg your pardon, the Dick Barber Racing crew. He's their chief. 77 car on the flat bed, yellow's still out, and Olivier Beretta still leading. 9th overall and leading in the GTS category. Well, there is the car that seems to be blessed. If there's ever problems with a car, then it always seems to be one of the others. At Le Mans last year, at Donington Park in the FIA GT Series last year, the cars that struck gearbox problems were not the number 91 machine, they were the others. Emanuele Pirro, the Sebring winner in the 70 car, down in 5th place. So it's Jörg Müller leading from Bill Auberland, David Brabham in 3rd, Didier de Radiguez in 4th, and Emanuele Pirro's Audi in 5th place. They're all jumbled up in traffic as they get ready to restart. We'll be back in a moment. North Carolina, the second race in the American Le Mans Series for the year 2000. And after the latest pit stops, JJ Leto and Jörg Müller's BMW, Jörg Müller at the helm, is in the lead from its team car with Bill Auberland at the wheel. Former leader number 1 Paynos David Brabham now driving down in third place. Away they go from the green. The Raffinelli car, the Zero machine there, Didier de Radiguez at the helm, working his way through the slower GT cars in fourth place overall. And up ahead, the Paynos chasing the two BMWs. But now a chance for Bill Auberlen to ride shotgun for Jörg Muller, rather, and to battle with David Brabham. Brabham needs to get past very quickly indeed. He has not got a huge amount of time left. The race well into its third section. And here is the Audi. Problems at the back of the car, the damaged body needing some repair work. The under tray has been flapping loose on the banking. The team now trying to cut it away entirely. That will rob him of rear downforce, but it's entirely really a safety matter. On the banking then, with Didier de Radiguez in fourth place. Well, the Lola certainly not the most attractive of cars, but the olive garden colour scheme really does help it in that respect. Top left running down the order, Auberlen, de Radiguez, Cato, third, fourth and fifth. And then Pirot in sixth place, ahead of Beretta leading the GTS class. And then the 02 car, Norman Seaman, the German driver, at the helm of last year's Raffinelli machine. GTS being led by Beretta, and the 10 car of Brian and Peter Cunningham leading the GT class. There is the P class, that is the overall order as well. P class with 9 cars in it. The GT class, Peter Cunningham leading from Sascha Maassen. And that BMW and Porsche battle is very close indeed. Hans Stuck's car in fast running pace, but not doing as well in the race after its earlier problems. And you saw Jean-Marc Gounon there watching concernedly as his teammate Bill Auberlen tries to fend off Didier de Radiguez in the Raffinelli Lola. Through turns 3 and 4 on the NASCAR circuit, there is the huge bank of grandstands all around this home of NASCAR Winston Cup racing. De Radiguez really fighting hard with the BMW now. Bill Auberlen, of course, raced the series last year for BMW and showing a good turn of speed in the car. And there is the 40 car. That is one of the 4 GTS runners. And smoking heavily, the driver is out. Bert Godin and Sam Shalala sharing that one. Yellow flags being thrown, and in for the splash and dash pit stop that they all needed comes Jörg Muller. The race leader is in. And Muller popping and banging on the limiter as he goes out of the pit lane. Very important yellow this, because there was a question of some of the lead runners in the prototype class being forced to make a late race splash and dash, and now that will not have to happen under green. Jörg Muller, my goodness, and a big fire evidently there, and look at the flames inside the cockpit coming down the front stretch in the tri-oval section. The car ablaze inside, and Bert Godin doing a good job there to stop it. But that huge explosion in the engine bay, not only engulfing the back of the car in flame, but covering the track with oil. Now, coming back out from a long stint behind the wall is the 77 car, Michele Alboreto. And this is the 0 car of Didier de Radiguez. He's coming in for his splash and dash stop. Nobody will waste time here with tyres. Bill Auberlen in the BMW and David Brabham in the Paynos. In they come, all of them, for this vital fuel stop. Wow, goodness me, rejoining there, the 0 car, the 43 of Auberlen and the 77 of Alboreto. And de Radiguez saying, excuse me, I was ahead in the first place, Bill. And no passing going on there in the pit lane under yellows. So de Radiguez reasserts himself ahead of the BMW in that little queue coming out of the pits, and that's a very slick piece of pit work by the Raffinelli crew, turning around the positions on the racetrack before they came in. Don't forget, Oberlin was fighting off the Zero car. Let's have a look again. The Raffinelli car comes out on the speed limiter, so I don't know how Oberlin can be going quicker than him. Didier de Radiguez there, almost bouncing up and down like a go-kart driver, going, come on, quicker, quicker. He's got his thumb on the button. It won't go any quicker, and nor should it. 91 car, driver change as Carl Wendlinger heads back out in the GTS machine for the rest of the race. Ian James's GT class Porsche, the number 89 machine. This is the MCR racing car, and not looking at all as if the wheels are all pointing in the right direction there. See if we can see what's happened here. Big lockup, and what does he hit? Into the barriers he goes, and that is probably going to be the end of him as well. So David Brabham in the queue of traffic, awaiting the restart. He's in second place, the race leader Jörg Müller, and they now all have enough fuel to get them to the end of the race. 91 car of Carl Wendlinger, 7th overall now, and of course still first in the GTS class. Carl Wendlinger being shown in the graphic as a Monegasque, of course still an Austrian. He may live in Monaco, but he is still an Austrian. Trying to keep the heat in those tyres. Don't forget, as soon as they go racing, they will need maximum grip, and there is Jan Magnussen. Well, all he can do is sit and wait for it to pan out. The number 1 car with David Brabham at the helm now after Jan Magnussen's double stint. So Müller leads from Brabham, from de Radiguez, from Albelin, and from Cato. They're getting ready to go green. More from Charlotte in a moment. Carolina with Eurosport, round 2 of the American Le Mans Series, and there are the cars coming round behind the pace car, ready for the restart. As they take the green, Jörg Müller leads away from the slower GTS and GT runners, and the traffic is going to hold up the cars behind him. Second place in that queue is the Didier de Radiguez car, but we're looking back for the number 1 Paynos of David Brabham, who is actually in second place on the racetrack. Didier de Radiguez lost a lap to the BMW, now getting it back. There is Bill Oberlin. Bill Oberlin with the Paynos right behind him. Well, JJ Leto really went for it into the first corner. Let's watch again, and don't forget, this has been a 15-minute sweep-up operation at turn 1, or at the braking area for turn 1, with a huge amount of easy dry going down to soak up the oil, and he just goes into it absolutely full tilt. Around the outside he goes, but still a very questionable part of the racetrack. Drivers have been trying to clear it as much as possible, but the corner work has been working hard on it. So Müller it is. Jörg Müller, keep saying JG later, it's Jörg Müller in the 42 car. Didier de Radiguez, a lap down from this battle, Oberlin versus Brabham. Well, Brabham needs to get past Bill Oberlin. He's not attacking him for position on the racetrack, but he wants to get up to the other BMW, which is 2 cars away and getting much further ahead of him. Oberlin a lap down, or just about to be a lap down on Brabham. And the Zero car ahead of them, the Raffinelli machine of Didier de Radiguez, is already a lap down on the leader as well. So de Radiguez is 3rd, the BMW here of Oberlin is 4th, behind him is the Paynos that is 2nd. And out front, ahead of this Zero car, is the BMW that leads the race. And Jörg Müller has got a very comfortable cushion, and it's growing. Now finally Brabham gets ahead of Oberlin, but how long has that cost him? How much in terms of time would he need to make back? Well, Brabham already thundering away from that second BMW, and the headlights on behind Oberlin is the number 2 Paynos. Here we go, replay of David Brabham, having made several efforts down the inside. Oh, on the easy dry, you can see how slick it is there. The Paynor's tail stepped out and he still held it and still threaded the needle between the grass and the BMW. Great move by David Brabham, fantastic stuff. But has Bill Auberland done his job for BMW? He wasn't being deliberately obstructive or dangerously holding Brabham up. What he was doing was not waving him by. And as a result, Jörg Müller is comfortably clear now. Don't forget, Brabham also has to deal with the Raffinelli car that's in third place in the race, but ahead of him on the racetrack at the moment, and between him and this car, the race-leading BMW. The afternoon sun now down behind the grandstands. Time is ticking on. The laps are counting down for Bill Auberland. They can't finish soon enough for David Brabham. They must seem so desperately, desperately short. Riding onto the banking again into NASCAR turn 1 and 2 with Didier de Radiguez, and there is the order. De Radiguez, though, between Jörg Müller and David Brabham on the road. Auberland fourth, Cato in fifth place in the second of the Paynor's machines. And don't the prototype classes look very well balanced at the moment? The year-old Audis looking quick early on, not so later on. Dindo Capello crashed here as they had problems with the 77 car. But when the brand new Audis rejoin the championship, we're going to have a real battle on our hands for overall honours. Battle here for the GT class. Sascha Maassen there, you're looking at the 51 car. He's 10th overall. This is the second Dick Barber Racing entry. There is his teammate, Bob Wollek. Bob Wollek having a very good afternoon indeed in his stints in the 51 car. And as the Audi went past, the Michele Alboreto car, well off the prototype class battle, but going past the GT cars quite comfortably. And the 10 and the 5 there, the GT battlers, the BMW, and the BMW missed the chicane completely, so Leto will now have to pass him again further round the banking. And see how much speed they scrub off in the prototypes. The BMW barely slowed down at all, and as a result picked up a huge distance advantage once more by missing the chicane. Well, he couldn't really get in there, I don't think, because the Audi was alongside him all the way in. He had absolutely no chance of making that. Michele Alboreto leaving that one desperately late. Once he started the move, though, he had nowhere else to go. Carl Wendlinger then leading the GTS class. He's in 7th overall in the Viper, and again, this car really running very much trouble-free. But here is the BMW and Porsche battle. GT leader is the Cunningham BMW, Peter and Brian Cunningham. And right now, with the two Porsches that are chasing him down. Well, the car ahead of us is Sascha Maassen, the 51 Dick Barber Racing Porsche. And there is Cunningham. And the Porsche around the high side now. It's got the 5 car behind, that's his teammate. Look at all the tape there on the nose. Don't forget, that car led the GT class easily early, for it had a spin and smashed the radiator and spent several laps coming in and out of the pits. So they are well out of contention. In fact, they're second from last as the BMW goes around the outside of the GT battle. And again, Sascha Maassen looking for a way around. Cunningham desperately holding on now. And here is Bill Auberland up behind the 0 car, and this is a battle for position now. David Brabham long gone. This is for 3rd place. This is for the final podium position. The Raffinelli car, red, white and green as befits an Italian team. And behind them is Cato in the 2nd Paynor's. There he is. So look how low down the BMW comes again. Can Auberland do what Jean-Marc Gounon managed to do and stay down there on the apron, coming out of the chicane and pass his rival? Will have to be a lot closer than that before he can. Fantastic battle And slower traffic ahead. Again, GT class BMW. And, oh dear, Kato nearly running into the back of the BMW. And there is evidence that the GT class lead has changed. 51 is out front. That was the 10 car, the Cunningham car that we saw this battle for third place go by. Now, Didier de Radiguez goes past the new GT leader. That's car 51. So, Sascha Maassen leading the GT class for Dick Barber Racing. Dick Barber, the man who 20 years this weekend, the race weekend at Charlotte, 20 years previously, won the 12 hours at Sebring for Porsche with John Fitzpatrick. Now his team in with a chance of winning the GT class here at Charlotte, North Carolina. The race leader, though, Jörg Muller, and plenty of time for him to work his way round. He's not under pressure from David Brabham, the second place Panos, not even in camera shot at the moment. So Jörg Muller on his last lap of the race. These races 2 hours and 45 minutes in duration, and the clock ticking away as he comes around onto the banking for the final time. Jörg Muller cruising into the tri-oval and looking for the starter's gantry and the checkered flag that will give him his first victory of the year 2000 for BMW. Through the chicane on the backstretch, and now he can practically switch it off and coast home. For Jörg Muller and for BMW and for JJ Leto, it'll be victory in Charlotte. Round 2 of the American Le Mans Series goes to BMW. The Audis won, the brand new machine, first time out of the box at Sebring in a ferociously tough 12 hours. But doesn't JJ Leto look pleased? No surprises in the GTS class, just 4 starters, 2 of them Oreca Vipers. The only real surprise perhaps that they didn't finish first and second in their category. The 92 car having a gearbox problem, and there trying to find his way alongside the 51 car, the 2 cars that battled to the line for GT honours. The 51 Dick Barber Racing car of Bob Wallach and Sascha Maassen taking that. Didier de Radiguez, 3rd overall. Jörg Muller, well, he looks fairly happy. So Jörg Muller then being greeted in traditional Le Mans style by the multi-wave flags coming into victory circle. Let's hear from our delighted winner.
Thanks to my team. I mean, it was just a brilliant strategy in the pits, and that's one of the reasons why we won this weekend.
Well, BMW really doing a good job in the pits this weekend, and it was really a poor pit stop that lost Panos their chance of the lead on that final restart. But Brabham and Magnussen coming in second, de Radiguez and Schiattarella delighted with 3rd place in the new Raffinelli Judd Lola. The GTS class going to the Vipers, and the GT class going this weekend to the Dick Barber Racing Porsche in Charlotte. Well, that's it then from the American Le Mans Series. Round 3 is at Silverstone later this month. If you're anywhere in the UK or can get there, I strongly advise you to go. It should be like the old Silverstone 6-hour and 1,000-kilometre races. A real warm-up for Le Mans. Bye for now.